There is a small rectangle of plastic, or a number stored in your phone, that can do something almost magical. It can give you anything you want, right now, today, this very second, even if you don't have the money for it. A swipe, a tap, and it's yours. It feels like freedom. It feels like power. It feels like the friendly system is on your side, letting you have the things you want before you can afford them. But that little rectangle is one of the most profitable inventions in the history of finance, and it is profitable for one specific reason. It is engineered with extraordinary care to do something to you, to gently, pleasantly, and almost invisibly guide you into a cage of debt that can be astonishingly easy to walk into, and brutally, sometimes catastrophically, hard to climb out of. This is the debt trap, and the credit card is its most elegant and widespread form. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how the trap is designed, the psychological tricks that make you spend more and pay more, the terrifying math that can keep people trapped for years or even decades, and the clear path that turns the same dangerous tool into something you can actually use without being used by it. This is the final piece of the puzzle. Let's get into it. Let's start with the most important thing to understand, the thing that reveals what a credit card truly is. When you use one, you are not spending your money, you are taking out a loan. A tiny, instant, automatic loan granted to you in the half second it takes to tap. Every single purchase on credit is borrowed money you now owe, to a company that fully intends to profit from the lending. And it's worth knowing where this little rectangle even came from, because the origin is almost absurdly humble. The story goes that around 1950, a businessman was out at a restaurant in a big city, finished his meal, reached for his wallet, and realized, to his horror, that he'd left it at home. The embarrassment of that moment sparked an idea. What if there were a single card you could use to pay at many different restaurants and settle up later? He launched it and called it Diners Club. At first, it was a simple charge card for eating out, a convenience for a small circle of city professionals. But that one idea, born from a forgotten wallet, quietly lit the fuse on one of the most powerful financial industries the world has ever seen. Because businesses soon realized the staggering potential hiding inside it, not in the convenience, but in the lending, in the interest, in the beautiful, recurring river of money that flows from people borrowing a little more than they can comfortably repay. What began as a way to avoid an awkward moment at dinner became a machine for putting much of the planet into debt. Now, here's the part that's genuinely clever, almost generous seeming. If you pay back that loan quickly, within the same billing cycle, before the due date, they typically charge you nothing for it. No interest. Zero. You got to borrow money, for free, for a few weeks. And this feels wonderful. It feels like you're getting away with something. It feels like the card is a harmless, helpful tool that asks for nothing in return. But ask yourself the question that unlocks this entire industry. If letting people borrow money for free were the whole business, how do these companies become some of the most profitable on earth, with towering headquarters and endless advertising budgets? Where does the money come from? The answer is the heart of the trap. They are not really betting on the people who pay in full and on time. They are betting. Their entire business is betting on the people who don't, on the people who can't or won't pay it all back right away. Because the moment you fail to pay the full amount, the friendly free loan transforms into something else entirely. It becomes one of the most expensive forms of debt available to an ordinary person. And that transformation is where they make their fortune. So let's talk about the engine of that fortune, the number that does all the damage, the interest rate. Credit card interest rates are, compared to almost any other common loan, breathtakingly high. We're often talking about rates of 20%, 25%, sometimes more, charged every year on whatever balance you don't pay off. To feel how punishing that is, compare it to other loans, where rates are usually a fraction of that. The credit card is, for most people, one of the single most expensive ways to borrow money in the entire economy. And most people carrying a balance have only the haziest idea of just how high their rate truly is, or what it's quietly doing to them. But the high rate alone isn't the real trap. The real trap, the genius, the thing that turns a high rate into a cage, is a tiny, friendly-sounding feature you see on every statement: the minimum payment. Here's how it works, and it is the most important thing in this entire video. Each month, the card company tells you the full amount you owe, but then, right beside it, they offer you a way out that feels like a relief. A much smaller number. You don't have to pay it all, they whisper. Just pay this little minimum and everything's fine. And it feels like kindness. It feels like flexibility. It feels like they're helping you through a tight month. It is the opposite of kindness. The minimum payment is the bars of the cage. Because here is what that small payment actually does. It's calculated to be just barely enough to cover the interest piling up, plus a sliver of what you actually owe. So when you pay only the minimum, you're mostly just paying the rent on the debt, feeding the interest, while the actual amount you borrowed barely moves. You send them money every month, faithfully, and yet the mountain you owe shrinks at an agonizing crawl, because the brutal interest keeps piling new weight on top almost as fast as you chip it away. Let me show you how vicious this is, because the numbers are almost unbelievable. Imagine someone runs up a credit card balance, let's say a few $1,000s, and then does exactly what the card invites them to do. Pays only the minimum each month, faithfully, never missing. How long do you think it takes them to pay it off? Not months, often years. In many real cases, paying only the minimum on a balance like that can take well over a decade to clear. And along the way, the person can end up paying back the original amount plus a second sum in interest that rivals or even exceeds what they borrowed in the first place. They borrow a few thousand and pay back many thousands over 10, 15, even 20 long years, all while dutifully making every payment. They did everything the card asked, and the card designed it so that obedience itself was the trap. There's a beautiful, terrible symmetry here, and it connects back to the very first secret of building wealth. You may have heard of compound interest described as the most powerful force in finance, money that grows on itself, snowballing larger and larger over time, the engine that quietly makes patient investors rich. Well, a credit card balance is that exact same force, turned against you. It's compound interest in reverse. Instead of your money snowballing up while you sleep, your debt snowballs up while you sleep. The interest itself starts earning interest, the weight piling onto the weight. The single most powerful wealth-building force ever discovered is, on a credit card, pointed directly at your future, working tirelessly to make someone else rich off of you. Understanding that one idea, that compounding can be your greatest ally or your most relentless enemy, depending purely on which side of the debt you stand, is worth more than almost anything else in this entire series. This is the cage. Not a dramatic sudden disaster, but a slow, quiet one. A person who only ever pays the minimum can spend a huge chunk of their adult life carrying a debt that never seems to end, handing over money month after month, much of it vanishing straight into interest, never building anything, never getting free. The card company, meanwhile, collects that river of interest for years. You become, in a very real sense, a long-term source of income for them. That is not a malfunction of the system. That is the system, working exactly as designed. And here's how ordinary, careful people slide into it, almost never all at once. It rarely begins with reckless spending. It begins with a single bad month. The car breaks down, or there's a medical bill, or a job is lost. And for the first time, you can't quite pay the full balance. So you pay the minimum, just this once, telling yourself you'll catch up next month. But next month, the old balance is still there, now with interest added, plus the new month spending on top. So you pay the minimum again, and a strange, quiet shift happens. Carrying a balance slowly becomes normal. The number creeps upward, month by month, never alarming on any single statement. You're still paying every month, still feeling responsible, but you've crossed an invisible line from someone who uses the card to someone the card is now using. Most people who end up years deep in credit card debt never made one big dramatic mistake. They made 100 small, reasonable-feeling decisions, each one nudged along by a system designed to make just the minimum feel perfectly fine. And now, layer on top of this the psychology we've explored throughout this whole series, because the credit card weaponizes all of it at once. Remember how paying with a card hurts less than paying with cash? The credit card takes that to the extreme. There's no physical money leaving your hand, just a painless tap and a beep. Studies have consistently shown that people are willing to spend significantly more when paying with a card than with cash, and willing to pay higher prices too. The pain of paying, the natural brake that physical cash puts on your spending, is almost completely removed. The card is engineered to make spending feel weightless, and weightless spending is exactly how balances quietly grow. Then add the rewards, the points, the cash back, the miles we exposed earlier in this series. They dangle these to encourage you to put more on the card, to use it for everything, to chase the points. And for the disciplined person who pays in full, those rewards can be a genuine win. But for the person carrying a balance, it's a cruel joke. You might earn 1 or 2% back in rewards while paying 20+% in interest. They give you a shiny coin with one hand and take back a fistful with the other. And the rewards encourage exactly the heavy spending that leads to the balance that makes them their real money. And then there's the deepest hook of all, the one that makes the whole thing socially acceptable. Credit cards, and debt in general, have been carefully sold to us as normal, as just how life works, as a sign of being a functioning adult. The advertising surrounds the card with images of success, ease, travel, and status, never with images of the person 10 years deep in a balance they can't escape. We're taught to see the credit limit as a kind of wealth, as money we have, when it is the precise opposite. It's a measure of how much a company is willing to let us owe them, at punishing rates. The trap doesn't just catch you financially. It first convinces you that stepping into it is the normal, grown-up thing to do. So step back and see the full machine, a tool that gives you instant gratification with no immediate pain. A high interest rate most people don't fully grasp. A minimum payment engineered to keep you paying for years while barely reducing what you owe. The removal of the natural brake that cash provides. Rewards that encourage you to spend more. And a culture that tells you all of it is perfectly normal. It is one of the most sophisticated profit machines ever pointed at the ordinary person, and millions are caught in it right now, making their faithful minimum payments, feeling responsible, while the cage quietly holds. But here is the crucial truth, and the reason this video ends in hope, not fear. The exact same tool that traps one person can be used almost for free by another. The credit card is not inherently evil, it is a tool, and everything depends on who is using whom. So let's turn all of this into power. Here is how you flip it. Lesson 1. The golden rule, above all others. Pay the full balance, every single month. Not the minimum, the full amount. This single habit is the master key to the entire thing. When you pay in full and on time, you get all the benefits of the card. The convenience, the safety, the rewards, the free short-term loan, and you pay the company nothing in interest. You become the customer they quietly dread, the one who uses the tool perfectly and never steps into the cage. If you take only one thing from this entire series, let it be this: pay in full. Lesson 2. Never ever treat your credit limit as your money. This is the mental shift that protects you. Your credit limit is not wealth you possess. It is the size of the cage the company has built and is inviting you to walk into. The only money you truly have is the money you actually own. So use the card as a convenient way to spend money you already have sitting in your account, never as a way to buy things you can't yet afford. The instant a card is funding a lifestyle your real money can't support, the trap has already begun to close. Spend what's yours through the card. Never spend what's theirs. Lesson 3. If you're already in the cage, attack the debt with everything you have, and understand it is the priority. Here's the logic that should light a fire under anyone carrying a balance. Paying off a debt charging you 20% is, in effect, one of the best guaranteed returns available to you anywhere. Every dollar you throw at that balance saves you 20+ cents a year, guaranteed, forever. A return most investors would dream of. So high-interest debt should usually be hunted down and destroyed before almost anything else. Throw every spare dollar at it. And don't be too proud to seek help. There are legitimate ways to consolidate debt or negotiate lower rates that can turn a hopeless climb into a possible one. The cage has a door, but you have to decide, fiercely, to walk through it. And the deepest lesson of all, the one that ties this entire series together, from the fallen crypto king to the lottery winners, from the invisible swipe fees to the silent thief of inflation, from the casino floor to this final rectangle of plastic. Every single one of these stories has been about the same fundamental battle. On one side, powerful, brilliant, well-funded systems, engineered to separate you from your money by exploiting your trust, your psychology, your impatience, your forgetfulness, and your very desires. And on the other side, you, armed with the one weapon that beats all of them at once, understanding. Because that's the secret running underneath all 10 of these stories. None of these traps rely on you being poor or unlucky or foolish. They rely on you being unaware. They work in the dark, in the autopilot, in the blind spots where most people never think to look. And the single act of switching on the light, of truly understanding how the machine works, is what transforms you from the one being played into the one who finally sees the whole board. You don't need to be a genius. You don't need to be rich. You just need to be awake while the world is counting on you to sleep. So the next time you reach for that little rectangle, you'll feel the truth of it in your hand. It isn't freedom, and it isn't a cage. It's a tool. And for the first time, you know exactly how it works. Which means, finally, you are the one holding it, instead of the other way around. If this series opened your eyes, you already know what to do with that. The whole game was always rigged in favor of the ones who understand it. Now, you're one of them. Use it well.